back to the channel. I had my first moose license last year, and I shot my first moose, so here's the story. So last year, in 2025, I was eligible to apply for my first moose license. And I had never done any hunting before, not big game hunting, small game hunting. Had pretty much zero skill at it, but it was something that I wanted to do. So anyway, it was something new for me, so I started to put my name in the provincial draw that we have here for moose licenses. And it took 3 or 4 years to be eligible to even get one, so last year I was successful and I got my first moose license. So then there was a bit of a panic on my part because I had to buy a big game rifle. So then once I bought that rifle, I had to learn how to use it. Once I got my rifle, I wanted to be able to make sure I could get the cleanest shot possible and know how to shoot. So I spent some time over the summer dialing in my shooting skills, knowing how to zero my rifle and all of that sort of stuff. So when the season opened on September 13th, it was still pretty warm. So I decided to wait until the end of the month, which also coincided with the peak of the rutting season. You get smoked out there. So I took some time off work, and the first day was actually on my birthday. I came in here not too far from where I am now. So I came in here at like 5:30 in the morning and walked over to my spot. I spent the morning there, did a lot of cow calls. As I was calling, I heard this movement just across the river, like probably 20 feet ahead of me. There was a row of alders and other like birch trees and stuff. I had zero line of sight. Having had little experience being that close to a moose, it was pretty exhilarating. And this was my first time that I experienced a moose actually responding to my call. I figured it was a little bit too close for comfort, so I decided to pack it in for the day. I kind of gave up on this area because my camera's in a different section of this community. I had a lot of activity on my cameras, and there was some pretty big moose there. It was like a 13-point bull, a 10-point bull moose, and a smaller 8-point bull moose. So I spent one night in there, just walking around, practicing my moose calls, and I was up on top of this ridge. So I got ready, I went back down over the hill, and heard this stick break, and it was a moose. It was the 13-point bull moose. Must have heard the call and was going straight up the hill to where I was calling from, and it was probably like 50 feet away from me. And other than the fact that it broke a branch and drew my attention to it, I never would have known it was there. It was so quiet. It gave me a crazy rush, adrenaline rush. I was like kind of spooked a little bit, but it was very cool to see an animal of that size, that close. Them not knowing that I was there or not caring, and it was really cool. So I decided to go back into that area and spend some mornings in there. So anyway, I think it was that Tuesday and Wednesday off work. I went into this spot called Miles Pond. I found this cutover, and I'll overlay a video here right now to show you the area that I'm talking about. So anyway, I went in there, and I had my camera set up in there, so I knew the area. And I had found a pretty good spot that I thought was had a good vantage point over the area and where I knew the moose were traveling to. So I set up there, and I picked that Tuesday and Wednesday, which I believe was October 2nd and 3rd. So the first morning I went in, rode in on my ATV, walked about 1 kilometer to the spot in the dark, and set up and started doing my cow calls every 15 or 20 minutes, followed by a couple of bull grunts. And having seen that 13-point bull a week previous, I knew he was in the area at the very least, plus the other two. So I did my call, started at 6:30 in the morning. And then after about a half hour or so, I heard some steps or noise in the pond. And once again, it was a situation where the moose was right in front of me and the wind was blowing across me. So he, I think, was walking along the edge of the pond and trying to get around me to scent me. So at a certain point, I knew this was happening. So I was sitting down, had my rifle ready. I heard the noises in the water get quicker, and it sounded like the animal that was in the water was running away. Maybe it scented me, maybe it heard me. Something spooked it, so it ran away. So then the following day I went in there, never really heard anything. So then the next couple of days were going to be pretty warm, so I didn't bother going. Saturday morning of that week, it seemed to be a pretty cool morning. weather was, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go. So I got up around 5 o'clock, went in there. I got set up around 6 o'clock, did some calling. The whole time I was not really, wasn't really of the opinion that it was going to happen that day. I didn't really feel like it. A friend of my family texted me, who I'd been talking to about moose hunting. He's very experienced. He sent me a message, and he said, "You'll get your moose this morning," and that was around 7:30. So anyway, I took my phone away, turned it off, because unfortunately I only had like 13%. So if I needed to call anybody, I'd be in trouble. And I was by myself all these times. So anyway, I did one more call, and I was going to pack it in for the day and come home and go to the gun range, actually, and make sure my zero on my rifle was still accurate. So then I was just sitting down, and then I heard this massive crack sound in the woods. It's just like tree snapping off. And instantly I was like, oh man, that's a moose. And then I went from being super relaxed and giving up on the day to being packed full of adrenaline. And I was like, man, this is going down. This is going to happen here now. And then I could hear the animal coming closer, so I got my rifle and I got my monopod and put my rifle on and put it off. I took the safety off, so I was ready to shoot. I already had a round in the chamber, and then I could hear the animal coming towards me, breaking through the trees, and I had a line of sight on it, which you'll see in this other video I got laid over here. I picked this downed tree in the foreground of the video, and I was set up there, and the moose was like right in front of me coming out of the tree line, and even before I could see him, I could hear him grunting, just doing the roar, roar. And I was like, man, this is crazy. So my heart was like pounding, and then eventually seen the moose coming out of the tree line, and with his antlers going, just doing the head tilt, which anyone who hunts knows what I'm talking about. The whole time he was grunting. So then I had this situation where this moose was coming right at me, and then I had in my head like a broadside shot right through the lungs or through the heart. I never really worked out mentally how I was going to deal with if it was walking right towards me. So he came out of the tree line and was walking pretty quickly towards me, so I was looking at it through my scope, and I was, man, how am I going to shoot this? How am I going to take this shot? I wanted to do as clean of a shot as possible, and I kind of promised myself that I was going to do it as accurately as possible. So I didn't really know if I should shoot it in between the eyes. So anyway, it was coming towards me, and I was like, man, I'm going to have to do this shot here now. This is getting pretty close. And then I was thinking to myself, you know, when I commit to this, I'm going to take this animal's life, so it has to be perfect. So I quickly thought of making a whistle sound. So when I whistled, the animal stopped, and then it started looking this way to its right, and then it came back on target towards me and started walking again. So then I was like, okay, I can do that. So I whistled again, and it stopped again, and then it looked to its left. And then when I did that, I had my crosshairs right on its neck, and I was like, oh, this is it. And I calmed myself down, did my breathing, and then pulled the trigger. I worked it out, and it was 55 feet away from me at the time. And I didn't have any ear protection in because I wanted to be able to hear, you know, what was on the go around me, whether animal was closing in or otherwise. It was such an intense moment between this moose walking towards me and my adrenaline going, and then the crack of the rifle going off right next to your face. And I looked at it, watched it through the scope, and got ready for a second round. But as I was doing that, through my other eye, and I could see that I had hit it, and it's just like reared its head, it went up like this, and at the same time, when the bullet like penetrated its neck, and it just like blew all of the blood like out of his neck. It was crazy. And I could see this with my open eyes because it was so close. Super intense. It was crazy. And I knew I hit it, and I knew it was dead on impact. So it just reared its head and down on the ground and didn't move, didn't kick, didn't do anything. It was wild. Never felt anything as intense as that. It was really crazy. I knew that all the effort that I put into it, between going to the rifle range, spending time down my rifle in, learning how to butcher and process the animal in the field, all that stuff was just automatic then. So I needed some help processing it in the field dressing it and stuff. So anyway, prior to going hunting, I decided I was going to use a newer method for field dressing instead of the traditional splitting the rib cage and the belly and hauling the gut sack and stuff out of the front. I decided I was going to go basically skin it in the field and do what's called the gutless method. It just seemed to me like the cleaner, better way to do it, and easier to deal with once you got it back at the house with regards to processing and butchering it and stuff. It's a little bit uncommon around here, so some people I mentioned it to thought I was a little bit crazy, but I did it, and but I knew I was going to need some help with it, because because they're very big animals. So with my 13% on my phone that I had left, I opened my phone. In the meantime, I was like full of adrenaline and I couldn't believe like what was happening. So I phoned my friend. He came in, and it wasn't too long getting in there, and he hauled right up, and both of us went at it. So I took the lead on how I was going to do it. So I split the skin or the fur from the head to the tail and just peeled all the skin off one side, and then removed the back leg and the front quarter, and then the neck meat and the back straps and the tenderloin on one side, and I flipped it over and did the same thing on the opposite side. So it was a massive help, and I'm super grateful that he was able to come in, because it would have been quite the effort to do it by myself. And at this point in the day, temperature was rising, and I was getting a little bit concerned about getting the meat to a cool location, minimizing wastage and stuff. So anyway, we got it done between the two of us. Everything that I planned for all year came together, and it was absolutely perfect. So I ended up harvesting like an 8-point bull moose, and I'll put some photos in here of it. And not really sure I'd ever bothered to weigh it. I took it home and started processing it right away. Quite heavy. I'd say probably 300, 350 pounds worth of meat at the very least, probably more. All I know is that the freezer is full, and I've been eating a lot of it, and it doesn't look like there's any got out of my freezer so far, so which is a great problem to have. The whole thing was a crazy experience. Super grateful that it happened the way it did. Put a lot of work into it. Came out successful, and so it'll be 3 or 4 years until I'm eligible to apply for another one. But it was such a rush that I can't wait to do it again. Until then, I'm going to continue enjoying the outdoors, gardening. There's a potential that I might try to get into some bear hunting as well, which you don't have in this part of the province I live, so I had to travel into that, try to figure out how. But some people are not really into hunting. I never thought I would be, that's for sure. As far as I'm concerned, you know, the meat that you're getting, sure, you are taking the life of an animal, and obviously there are people who even disagree with that. But for the majority of people, they're comfortable going into the supermarket and buying chicken, beef, pork that was raised in absolutely horrendous industrial conditions. So at that point, it's basically just industrialized, you know, slaughter basically. But it is what it is. So at least in this situation, I know that I did everything possible to pay as much respect to the animal as I could, despite the fact that I was taking its life, making sure that it was a super clean kill, it wasn't stressful, you know, all those sorts of things. So it's kind of important to me to do that. But anyway, it was a great experience. Hope you enjoyed the story. And if you have any questions or comments on hunting tactics or any of that sort of thing, definitely feel free to let me know. So in the meantime now, I'm going to relax by this fire, enjoy my coffee, and we're supposed to have a storm tomorrow, so it's like 40 or 50 centimeters of snow. That's going to be crazy, so maybe next weekend I'll be able to get out, do some snowshoeing, and make another video. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the hunting experience was amazing. 10 years ago, I never would have thought I would do something like that, or that was something that I would do in the future. But it was an excellent experience. I can't wait to do it again, to be honest. It was way good. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.